Hi everyone, welcome to Reset and Reborn. I'm Tommy. I'll be your host for today's program. Very grateful to see everybody here. Glad you're joining us today, and we'll be going to be sharing and discussing some really exciting and insightful topics for you this evening. Let's get started by introducing our speakers today. Those of you who know Aini, she's a teacher in mindfulness and compassion, and she provides inner clarity through the practice of loving awareness, acceptance, forgiveness, gratitude, letting go, and surrendering to living effortlessly in abundance and equanimity. She's also a self-discovery and transformational coach. She takes her clients through self-transformational journeys using her customized coaching programs, which are carefully curated and focus on cultivating each individual's foundation life skills. I guess the rewarding result is often an inward awakening as you develop the ability to tap into your innate wisdom and establish a wise and loving relationship with yourself. She's also author of the book, The Walk to Freedom, Find Balance and Clarity in a Chaotic and Stressful World, and Awaken Your Inner Fire. We also have a very special guest today, joining us from the UK, Lee Huxley. Hi. Thank you for joining us today. She is also an identity and transformational coach who helps women find their personal identity and empowerment to transform their relationship with themselves through unconditional love and acceptance. So, enough of me. Let's bring forward the speakers, and I'd like to introduce you to start off the show with Aini.
Hey guys, nice to see all of you here. Yes, I really love to welcome every part of you here. I'm truly grateful for your presence, and I have some friends over there. Thank you for joining me, and thank you for your support. So I'm gonna jump right in and start off with guiding you into coming to presence that we're here today. So let's just take a deep breath in gently, and perhaps closing your eyes. Right. As you breathe in and out, I'd like you to really acknowledge the presence here. Feeling into your body, physical body, welcoming the physical body, welcoming the mental faculty, and honoring the feelings and emotions that are present here. And of course, honoring the presence of spiritual being here. And I'd really like you to do the same with your hands on the heart center, and see if you can send words of gratitude to yourself for being here and taking this time for yourself to love yourself. There's no better time than today. So just being here, sensing your presence, sensing your own love. So honoring our presence and our courage to be here, and thank you for your trust in me as well. So what I like to really start off with is to tell you that you're not broken and that you're innately whole. Now see, everything that you need is already in you, and there's nothing in you that needs fixing. Now, hear me out, right? I'm just gonna show you a bit of a metaphor here. Now, if you look at this glass, right, it's a glass with water, and this is when we are born, right? Imagine yourself as a glass of water, clear, innocent, and uncontaminated. I like to say that, right? But as we grow older, as we journey this life, right, we are like a sponge, right? We absorb everything, pouring in all these pebbles and stones into this glass. So we are taking in everything from our parents, from our relatives, our friends, our teachers as we grow up, from our bosses when we go to work, and of course from the society. And what I mean is all the good, bad, and all the neutral things, all right? So what happened is when we take in everything from them, we're also taking in all their beliefs, all their fears, all their doubts, and all their past conditionings. Because research has shown that past conditioning gets passed on to the next generations. And it can become very downward spiral, right? So if I haven't worked on the things that I need to work on, very, very likely that the things that I fear, the doubts that I have, will pass on to my children. And it's gonna go down, right? So the more we take in, the more we lose ourselves. And the more we lose ourselves, the more we hide a part of ourselves in underneath, between all the cultural, all the parental, the societal conditionings and false beliefs that stop us from realizing that each of us is already innate, whole, right? To start off with, right? Now, just if I ask you to look at this glass here, can you really see through with all the pebbles and with all the stones and sands in there? The answer is no, right? Our hearts and our minds are clouded with everyone's opinion of who we are, who we should be, and how we should behave, and sometimes even what would make us happy. Isn't that true? Now, I'm not really sure about you, but when I was young, I've been told, you need to study hard, you need to go to the university, you need to get a good job, and then you get a good career when you graduate the university, you're going to get married and have children, and you're going to be happy, right? Just a show of hands and see, does anyone, do you resemble this instance, you know? Yes, everyone, almost everyone that I talk to tells me the same thing, right? Study hard, go to university, good job, find a career, get married, get children, and that's it. Your life will be happy ending, you know. Now, if I'm going to ask you right now, who are you? Really, really, you might want to just take a few seconds here and ask yourself, who are you? When I ask my clients and students, mainly adults, right, I say, who are you? Everyone will come and tell me, oh, I'm a mother of 2 children, I'm a marketing director, I'm a finance officer, or anything, you know. But when I asked my child a couple of years back, Aiden, when I asked him, who are you, Aiden? He said, oh, mommy, I'm so strong, I'm so fast, look at the muscle, you want to fight? You know, that's what he tells me, right? Now we forget all our values when we grow up, right? We identify ourselves with the roles we play and with the title that we hold so much that I had a client who lost his identity because we get too attached to a role that we play, right? Even myself, as an example, when I was working in the corporate industry, I assume the role even when I'm a mother, right? And that hurts. Now, your pain and emotional distress are symptoms. When we are clouded with all the opinions of others and conditionings, fear and doubt, everything, we don't know who we are. We don't know what we want and why we do the things we do. We just simply follow, right? I reckon sometimes it's like the blind follow the blind, the blind leading the blind, right? Like if my parents haven't worked on the things that they have to work on, it passes on to me, and I'm sure that it has passed on to me, right? But please do not blame them, okay? They themselves are ignorant too, right? So when all these things pass on to us, our children, if we don't work on it right now that we know, our children will eventually have to face it, right? So, but if we work on it right now and we know that we have to work on it, we have the support to work on it, we transform our own lives. Not only that we transform our own life, we can help our parents to transform. And what is more important to me when I decided to be a coach, be a mindfulness teacher, is that I want to take a surgical cut to cut the downward spiral. All right, I don't want my children to go through what I've been through, and their children, right? So this is the main reason why I'm here. Yes, I understand that we are stressed, we are anxious, all the pain and all the difficult emotions. It is. They are just too hard to swallow, right? I get it. I know, I've been there. So what do? Sometimes and often when we are clouded with all sorts of things, the worries, the fears and the anxiety, we get angry. We blame everyone. We blame the world. We blame people for how we feel. Or sometimes we blame ourselves. We feel resentful. We blame ourselves and even avoid facing everything that we are supposed to be facing. I know it hurts, okay? But what is true is that when we resist, whatever that we resist persists. Whatever that we accept transform. And that's what I learned. When we are triggered, be it something trigger us, maybe a circumstance or someone shake this glass, right? We get triggered. And we often react unconditionally with emotional reactivity. And we let our emotions take over all our actions and responses, and we become reactive, right? So there is only 3 possibilities how we become emotionally reactive. We can explode outward, right? We throw anger, rage at everybody, right? Blaming everybody for what we are feeling. Or we can buckle inward, blaming ourselves for how we feel. Third, it's avoidance, suppressing the feelings. We distract ourselves. The reason why we do that, it's really to find that instant gratification. And that's why often you see people doing comfort eating. And it can get worse. Sometimes avoidance can be substance abuse, can be anything, right? But if we are not aware of that, then nothing changes. We will be in a downward spiral. So when we get triggered again, all the bottled up emotions and all the unresolved past, unfinished businesses, unprocessed emotions rise to the surface. What my teacher will tell me, what my teacher told me then was, we say that we are reliving our past experiences over and over again. because that triggers our past unresolved business, and that triggers our unprocessed emotions and triggers all the unresolved past unfinished business. And every time it triggers, we remember that feeling and we latch on to that feeling. So then we are reliving past experiences over and over again. That is suffering. And if we continue to internalize these misbeliefs, they become our reality. So the reason you're here today means that you want better for yourself. And if you have been going to any therapies, any counseling or treatment, etc., please make sure that you're addressing the root cause of the problem, right? Anxiety is not the root cause of your problem. Stress is not the root cause of your problem, okay? They are psychological perception of danger. That's why we worry. That's why we feel anxious. All right, it's all in the mind. Let me put it this way, for easier for you to understand. Let's say if you have a toothache, it's painful, right? So what do? You go and take a painkiller. You take paracetamol to stop the pain. But the root cause of the toothache is actually the root canal problem or a rotten root. So as long as you don't treat the rotten roots, the pain will perpetually be there, and you have to keep taking paracetamol painkiller to stop that. So you're not actually addressing the root cause of your problem, but you're only addressing the symptoms. Symptoms can be anything. All right, fear has many masks. Your wound is the root cause of the symptoms. Okay, now it is nothing to do with the problems that you're facing or the circumstance that you're in right now, right? Why I'm saying that? It is because it is not the circumstance that determines how you respond and your actions, but rather how you feel about what happened. That determines your response. Think about it, right? I repeat, it is not the circumstance or the problems that you're facing determines your response and your actions, but rather how you feel about what happened to you. Really think about that. It is always your emotions. It is always how you feel about it, how you perceive the situation to be, right? So the real root, the real problem of the symptoms that you may have right now is the inner conflict, right? You have been internalizing everyone's opinion about who you are, what you should be. But you forget that there is an inner child in each one of us, and your inner child is wounded, right? There's something in you that needs to be acknowledged, needs to be listened to, that needs to be accepted and loved. What is the wound underneath the symptoms, right? So if we are not being understood when we are young, or if we don't feel belonging, we may develop fear-based beliefs. For example, if you are being abandoned when you are young, you feel abandoned, right? And then very likely that we will develop a fear of rejection. Just an example. So if you're being judged when you are young, or when you are little, you develop a fear of being judged. And you're more likely to judge yourself very harshly. And that's the topic of today. Self-judgment, self-critique. Okay? Again, I really want to emphasize that you're not broken. There's really nothing wrong with you, right? It is the wound that needs healing. Okay? So are you giving the wound the healing it needs? Let me just ask you a question here. Really ask yourself to, how do you relate to yourself? Do you beat yourself up? Or do you speak to yourself? We all speak to ourselves, right? Sometimes we can talk ourselves into a situation if we like it, and if we don't like it, we can talk to ourselves out of that situation. Right? It's everything. It's in us. Okay. So how do you relate to yourself? I'm gonna take a pause here and invite my good friend Lee to come in. She's gonna share with you the 8 keys to self-love and show you how you can relate to yourself. All right, the mantras that she's gonna be sharing with you, so that you can start practicing it every day. So come on in, Lee. Welcome.
Hi, good morning, everybody. It's bright and early here in the UK. It's still dark. It's starting to get light. And I just want to thank I for a beautiful teaching. Beautiful. So to springboard from that, through personal experience and my own journey of learning to love myself, which has taken place over 5 decades. So it is definitely a journey. But I've come to understand, and more importantly, can you hear me still? Sorry, I've just taken my earphones out. Can you still hear me? Okay. I've come to understand that when we can love and accept ourselves for who we are and where we're at, we can love and accept others for who they are and where they are at. And it is definitely a journey. And I've also come to understand that the greatest love story of all is the one that we have with ourselves. And as I speak, I would encourage you to move into a more loving relationship with yourself. And that means self-love. We've been given scriptings about, well, certainly I have, that self-love is selfish. I grew up as a minister's daughter, and I watched my mum give everything of herself away. She gave from an empty cup, and the last 13 years of her life, she contracted Parkinson's disease because she was so depleted. So for me, self-love is about filling our cup so that we can give from the overflow of the saucer. I'm going to share a few insights that I've come up with. And as I have said, I've termed it 8 keys of self-love. And that's just going through the letters. So SELF and then LOVE. So for me, self-care is the importance of living a balanced life. So balanced physical foundation. So what we eat, how we exercise, all the very obvious things that we relate to self-care, but also our emotional body, which I've been speaking of, and our mental bodies, and then, so importantly, our spiritual connection, whatever that looks like for you, because that feeds us. And I'm going to share some mantras, and they are I am statements. And I've come to understand that it the importance of being aware of what word we put after I am, because the word that follows I am creates our reality and our future. So if we walk around saying, I'm so tired, that becomes our reality. If we switch to I am vibrant, we lean towards that. So the mantra for self-care is I am worthy. I'm worthy to look after myself. I'm worthy of all good things, physically, mentally, emotionally, spiritually. I am whole. The other one, the next one, E, is energy leaks. To really, really be mindful where we are leaking our energies. For me, over my lifetime, it was, and I've only come to understand it now, recently in the last couple of years, it was about people pleasing, about, I was in codependent relationships all my life, not toxic ones, but codependent relationships, because I felt that I needed to be the fixer, the changer, and so on and so forth. All the rabbit holes we go down with codependent relationships. And I came to understand, and I hold this very true for myself, is I am not emotionally responsible for anybody but myself. And that becomes very difficult when you're a mum and you look after children. I have a son who's gone through extreme mental health challenges through 2 psychotic episodes, and the mother wants to rescue, wants to fix, wants to change, and you can't do that. And so when I was able to step back emotionally and bless him and bless his journey and be the support as his mum and the encourager as his mum, that relieved that pressure and that energy leak in me. Other energy leaks are what I've been speaking of: fear, worry, anxiety, and overgiving. I was definitely an overgiver. And I would give from an empty cup and then wonder why I was reactive, because I was exhausted. So learning to fill that. The mantra with that is I am strong. The next one, L, is language. Now, this is a biggie, because the question is, how do we speak about ourselves to others, and how do we speak to ourselves? As I was speaking, are we our inner critic or are we our inner coach? Now, I've come again to understand a few things that I didn't realize, is we are water mainly in our bodies, and water carries vibration and memory. There's the famous Japanese scientist Masaru Emoto, and he did experiments with water, and it's, you can look into it, it's very fascinating. But to sum it up, he would put words of love and encouragement and peace under a bottle of, or a container of water, and then freeze that water. And then he would look at all the crystals that had formed, and they were the most magnificent crystals, like snowflakes, and so unique and beautiful. And then he flipped the experiment and he wrote words of hate and under that water container, and then froze that. And when he examined the crystals, they weren't formed at all, and they were all disconnected and disjointed and didn't look healthy at all. And he also went to the extremes of taking polluted, very polluted water, and then writing words of love and peace and joy under that, freezing that, and the water crystals started to form again. So now if you relate that to our bodies, you know, that's very, very powerful. And so important to be mindful of how we speak to ourselves and about ourselves. Another lovely analogy I came to hear about is words are spells. If you think of the word spelling and you break that down, every time you write words and speak words, you are casting spells. What spells are you casting? Really makes us think. Words, our voice carries vibration and frequency. And my mantra with that is, I am kind to myself. Then F, it stands for forgiveness, another big, big, big one. In my life, because of my religious upbringing, I was very comfortable with forgiving others for their mistakes. But my biggest journey and learning was learning to forgive myself for the mistakes I had made. Past mistakes, past decisions, past roles, the list can go on. The mantra with that is, I'm free, because as we know, forgiveness isn't about setting others free necessarily. Yes, there is that element, but more importantly, it sets us free. Because when we hold unforgiveness about ourselves and others, those are energy blocks and they're draining. And so when we release through forgiveness, that sets us free. Then going on to love, L stands for let go. Are you willing to let go of that inner critic and those limiting beliefs that I've been speaking about? And I came across something that was very, very pertinent around the 4 C's. And I've used this speaking as a guest on podcasts. The 4 C's are criticizing, complaining, comparing, and competing. Those create energy leaks. We do that with ourselves and we do that with others. As within, so without. Where I had a whole long journey around perfectionism, and that made me really critical of myself. But because I was so critical of myself, I was critical of others because they didn't match up to my standards. And so I've come to understand all about those. So letting go is, I feel it's time for us to let go of those criticizing, complaining, comparing, and competing, and replace them with collaboration and cooperation and all the good things that come out of letting go of limiting beliefs. And the mantra with that is, I'm willing to let go. The other C is control. Controlling. We cannot control others. We can't control ourselves. We can love ourselves and accept ourselves. When we do that, we can do the same for others. O is open. Are you open to possibilities and opportunities? If you're not letting go, you're not creating space for the new to come in. The mantra with that is, I am open. V is for a vibration. And for me, that's doing things that light you up, things that nourish your soul, things that bring you joy. What are you listening to? What are you watching? What are you reading? Where are you putting your focus? If you feel yourself getting sucked down into lower vibrations, step back and look at those things and choose things that will raise your vibration. The mantra with that is, I am vibrant. That's how we want to feel. We want to feel vibrant and vital. And when we are that ourselves, we can pass that on to others. And the last one is E, and that is embrace your uniqueness. We see it all over social media and all the media. We're constantly comparing ourselves physically with others, our lifestyles, or all this comparison that goes on. And it saddens me so much, because for me, We are like beautiful flowers in the field. Everybody, every flower is different, whether great or tiny or spiky or delicate. They all hold their own beauty, and none is better than the other. And every single one flowers at different seasons. For me, there's no sense in us all being the same and developing at the same rate, because then we would just there would be no variety, and variety is the spice of life. So embrace your uniqueness. The mantra that I've loved that goes with that: I am a one-time cosmic event. Nobody has our same fingerprint, our same eye color. They like snowflakes. Every single one is different. And that is the same with us. We are a one-time cosmic event. We've come in with our own vibration, our unique vibration, our unique gifts, our innate nature. And it's time to embrace that and celebrate who we are. So I've come to understand the power of the transformation that happens when we are ready and willing to embrace the relationship we have with ourselves through unconditional love and acceptance. As within, so without. We need to be the change we want to see in the world. And if we want to see more love and acceptance and forgiveness in the world, it's got to start with us. Simple as that. And so it is.
Thank you. Isn't that beautiful? Thank you so much. I really learned a lot from you, Lee. Yeah. Come to really think about it, forgiveness is really something that I worked on for many years, Years. Yeah. And I totally resonate with you, every single word that you say, Lee. I think for us who have worked through our own critic, our own self-judgment, and how we see how we really sabotage ourselves that way, and the energy leaks. There's a saying that where the mind goes, energy goes, right? Yeah, where we put our mind, energy goes. And words really have vibrations, right? What we tell ourselves. So again, really take some time for yourself to really ask yourself, who are you? How are you relating to yourself? How are you talking and communicating with yourself is really important, right? I also wanted to share that healing takes place when we become aware of our being. And the being that we're here right now, present, there's really nothing wrong with us, right? It's the wound that needs healing, right? And then it takes place when we are able to accept, forgive, and love ourselves fully and completely. Right? That's all. That's all we need, right? Maybe it would be nice. I love metaphors, right? So maybe it's nice to put it in a way that we know that there's an inner child in us, right? So I think most of you who are parents, you may resonate with me. If you have a child pulling your pants and say, "Hey, mommy, listen to me," attend to me, right? Or crying, you have a crying child who wants your attention. How do you speak to them? Do you say, wait, let me finish my work first? Or what, right? When a child wants attention from you, and if he doesn't get the attention from you, it keeps coming back, all right? I'm sure all this, I'm sure most of us, I have been noticing it in my own experience, but I was avoiding it, until something really, really happened for me to look into my own self-sabotaging and inner critic. So sometimes you tend to neglect that inner part of you, the inner child that's there, and push it away. Or sometimes you may, oh, here's a popsicle, here's an ice cream, here's a lollipop, enjoy and shut up. Right? That's what we do, right? We avoid, we go shopping, we distract ourselves, or we go for a holiday. But for me, and that is not true healing. It's just instant gratification. When you come back, then what? Right? You got to answer to that child. You got to give it that attention. This beautiful quote by my teacher, Thich Nhat Hanh, if you have heard of him. The cry we hear from deep in our hearts come from the wounded child within. Healing this inner child's pain is the key to transforming anger, sadness, and fear. All the things, right? That's why I say in the beginning, and I want to repeat that. I want to make sure you get it, that you're not broken. No matter how you want to judge yourself, how you want to criticize yourself, know that you're not broken, right? It's the wound that needs healing, and you're going to take time. You're going to love yourself, and you're going to do that. So how do we break through the inner critic and redeem who we truly are? Now, I'd like you to take this down as well. There's 4 parts to this. So we need to recognize, right? If we are not aware and we haven't recognized our inner critic, nothing changed, okay? Accept. We need to accept ourselves fully and completely and allow all the emotions to be here. Investigate and nurture ourselves with love to fully and completely, deeply love and embrace who we truly are. So R, recognize. What we're recognizing is what is happening inside of you. A, accept that this is happening and allow it to happen. Right? Allow whatever that is, what you are feeling inside you, to come out, to be on the surface. Because if you're not addressing it, you're not willing to listen to it, nothing changed. Okay? Investigate. So investigate means we are investigating with a deeper understanding of what is underneath those emotions, right? What is underneath the fear? What is underneath the anxiety? What is underneath the stress, right? Investigate. And N means non-identification, recognizing that thoughts and emotions are transitory in nature. So they are like clouds, they come and they go. So take a step back and not being too attached and identified with that thoughts. Okay, and of course nurture with kindness and compassion, right? We need to love ourselves. So please take some time to contemplate and reflect on these questions. Recognize and really take some time to go inward and ask yourself, who am I? What and who triggers me? It's very important that we know what triggers you, what and who triggers you, right? I know for me, my mom is my triggers. Right? So it's important, like what emotions arise when I'm triggered? Okay, what comes out, right? Be there to listen, hear, right? Listen to that child. How am I communicating with myself? What am I believing about myself? And that's another important question. What am I judging myself? And how am I relating to myself? So these are some of the questions that you can really ask yourself to find out and recognize those emotions and situations and people and whatever that is triggering you. We need to be aware of that. We need to recognize that. And that has to come to surface, okay? So recognize the thoughts, all the strong emotions that are present there, the sensations that's there. And with recognition, what we're doing is we are stepping out of denial. And because denial always undermines our freedom to heal and grow and transform, all right? Because we're denying, right? We are avoiding, we don't want to hear. We're denying the fact that we are hurt. We're denying the fact that it's pain, right? So in recognizing things that triggers us, in recognizing all our emotions and our thoughts that are present here, we are stepping out of denial. And that's the most important step. Accept and allow. Lee talks about physical, mental, emotional, and spiritual. Yes, we have to accept ourselves physically, mentally, emotionally, and spiritually. And acceptance means letting go of the thoughts and emotions and sensations that we have recognized earlier to simply be there without trying to change anything or fix anything. It means let it be as it is. Accepting doesn't mean that we have to agree with what we're feeling, but rather what we're trying to do is here to soften our mental resistance to what is happening inside of us. So allow the difficult emotions to be present. Allow yourself to feel and sense them with gentleness and kindness, right? You want to talk to your child in a way with kind words, okay? Investigate. Investigate is about inquiring into the felt sense of our experience rather than engaging in a connective or analytical process. So it's not in the mind but in the body, right? I think Lee also shared that our body is made out of water, 80-90% of water, right? Energies get stored in the body, right? Our emotions get stored in the body, and it carries down from generation to generation to generation. Okay, so what is important here is in my years of teaching mindfulness, I realized that people think that everything is in the mind. It is true. Thoughts creates our emotions and form our perceptions. But what is important is that our body keeps the score. So you want to investigate, inquiring into the felt sense. What am I feeling? Okay, where does it hurt? Right? Where am I holding these tension? Which part of my body? Really sense it and feel it. What is happening inside of me? You might ask. And most importantly, where does it hurt? What am I believing and judging myself? You want to ask that as well. And what is the story I'm telling myself? Now, we all tell stories, okay? We make up stories in our mind. Okay. So what is the story I'm telling myself? And most importantly, you want to ask, what is the most difficult and painful thing I'm believing? Right? Are they true? Not true? Or am I just wondering if they are true or not? What emotions does it bring up? Is it fear? Is it anger? Is it resentment? Is it shame? Grief? Now take note, under all this inquiring into our felt sense, really going inward to ask ourselves, often there is a sense of unworthiness there, shame. It's usually underneath all the self-critic that we have for ourselves. So take note of that as well. So you want to ask, where does all this emotion show up in the body? And how does this part of the body wants me to be with? Right? Listen to the wisdom of the body. We all know, right? Everything you need is already in you. Now you got to let it open and let it speak to you. And what most wants my attention? What do I need now from a larger perspective, a larger source of love and wisdom? And really ask, can I accept and forgive myself? Right? Again, I want to repeat that thoughts are transitory. Emotions are a product of our thoughts. Okay? And then with the thoughts creates the arising, triggers the arising of our emotions. And then because of how we feel, we form a perception. So these are some of the questions that you can ask yourself, and it will help you to come into a wiser, a more loving relationship with yourself and your thoughts and your emotions. And I would also like you to take note as well that as you come into really inquiring and do this work of inquiring, investigating, you may come into contact with a sense of loneliness, unworthiness, there's shame buried underneath all these feelings and emotions. But unless they are brought up to consciousness, these feelings and emotions will perpetuate, right, and control our experience, limiting us to grow and heal. Okay, if it's too difficult, please reach out for help, right? You have all the support here, Lee's here, I'm here, or find somebody you can get support from, okay? Now I really want you to take note of nurturing as well, non-identification. What we are doing here is we are inquiring about every state of our experience, our thoughts, our emotions, our stories that we create. All right, you may even notice as you continue to investigate further and tapping into your own innate wisdom, you may notice that the stories that we creates dependency and identification, right? So take note how much do you identify with the stories. All right, again, it's an attachment, right, that needs to let go. So instead of identifying with all the difficulties, can we let go? Can we rest in this awareness itself and nurture these experiences with compassion and kindness for ourselves, not for anyone, right? If our cup is empty, we can never give, right? We have to keep from a full cup. So connect to your compassionate self when it is difficult. And you may also call upon a family member, a spiritual teacher, or even a divine source, and offer inwardly the love and compassion, acceptance, forgiveness that the most vulnerable part of you need. Okay? Because really who we are is not limited to our thoughts, emotions, and our perceptions, right? We are much bigger than that. Oops. Okay, I would really like to take some time to share a story with you, a story that my teacher Jack Confield shared in one of his talk, that really touches me, that I really resonate, and I thought that you might resonate with that as well. Not too sure if you heard of that story. It's a story called The Garden, A Frog and Todd. It's a children's story. So Frog was in the garden, and Todd came walking by. So he said, "What a fine garden you have, Frog," Todd said, right? "Yes, Frog, it is very, very nice, but it was hard work. So I wish I had a garden," said Todd. So Frog gave him some seeds. He says, "Here are some seeds. Plant them in the ground," said Frog, "and soon you will have a beautiful garden." Todd asked, "How soon?" Right? "Quite soon," he said. Frog answered. So Todd ran home. He planted the flower seeds. Now he says, "Seeds, grow, start growing." Todd walked up and down a few times, and the seeds still did not start grow. So Todd put his head close to the ground and said loudly, "Now seeds, start growing." The seeds still did not grow. So Todd put his head very, very close to the ground and shouted, "Now, seeds, start growing." So Frog came running up the path and said, "What is all this noise?" he asked. "My seeds will not grow," Todd said. "So you are shouting too much," Frog said. "These poor seeds are afraid to grow." "My seeds are afraid to grow?" Todd asked. "Of course," said Frog. "Leave them alone for a few days. Let the sun shine on them. Let the rain fall on them. Soon your seeds will grow." And that night, Todd looked out of his window. Dread, he said, "My seeds have not started to grow. They must be afraid of the dark." So what he did was he went out to his garden with some candles. I said, "I will read the seeds a story," said Todd, "and then they will not be afraid." So Todd read stories to his seeds. And all the next day, he sang songs to his seeds. And all the next day, Todd read poems to his seeds. And all the next day, Todd played music for his seeds. Todd looked at the ground. The seeds still did not start to grow. "So what shall I do?" cried Todd. "These seeds must be the most frightened seeds in the whole world." Then Todd felt very tired and he fell asleep. The next morning, Frog came running by. Todd, wake up, look at your garden." Todd looked at his garden. Little green plants that were coming up from the ground. "At last," shouted Todd, "my seeds have stopped being afraid to grow." "And now you will have a nice garden too," said Frog. "Yes," said Todd, "but you were right, Frog. It was hard work." So are you going to do the hard work? Oh. I hope you enjoyed the story, which I enjoyed very, very much. This story has always been a reminder for me for the last few years. Yeah, so I'm gonna pause here for some question and answers. If you have, please pop them on the chat box, or if you feel comfortable, you can unmute yourself and ask right away. Lee's here, I'm here, and see what we can do for you. Let's just check in the chat box if you have anything. No, that's okay. But if you do have anything while you are inquiring into the rain practice, do send me a message, okay? I'll be here. Otherwise, I will continue. Right, I just wanted to share another metaphor so you get a better understanding. Okay, Now imagine you have a wound in your hands or anywhere in your body. There's a cut there. Of course, you want the wound to heal, and you go to see the doctor, right? And the doctor uses his tweezer, whatever he can grab on, to open the wound up, and then keep digging and digging and digging and see if the wound is healing. Do you think the wound will heal? No. We're not going to try to keep digging and digging the wound. It will not heal. So again, if someone or something bump into your glass here, right, it will shake, right? And all the water will start spilling out. Okay? So what happens if people keep bumping into your wound? Would it heal? No. If you haven't addressed to it, it will not heal. Alright? But when our wound is fully healed, it won't hurt anymore. No one will be able to shake us. Alright? And the doctors don't need to dig into and open up the wound and check if it's healing or not, right? Now I want to ask you, what do you think will help your wound to heal? You know the answer. You just have to go in there and find out. Right? You need to give love to yourself. You give it love and care, it will heal, right? You don't scold the wound, heal, right? You give it love, right? You touch it, you kiss it, or give it all the tender love and care. So I'm going to ask you, are you going to give your wounded child the love it needs right here and right now? And I repeat, I want to repeat and emphasize this again. There is nothing wrong with you. You're whole. You don't need fixing, right? Even if you go to the doctors or the psychologists or the therapists, the counselors, they cannot fix you, right? You got to do the work, right? I cannot fix you too, right? No one can fix you, but I can show you the way how you can love yourself, take you to the practice. Just as I can bring you to the water, but I cannot force you to drink water. You must be able and you must want to do that work, right? A lot of my clients came, and some of them have been seeing counselors and psychologists for many years. What I realized is that when they go and see a counselor or a psychologist or a doctor or therapist, there is a mindset that fix me, right? I'm coming to you, you fix me. Okay, so that's wrong, okay? Right? No one can fix you. If you're going to get treatment, to see a psychologist or a therapist or counselor, be very sure, like I said earlier, be very sure, what are you addressing? Are you addressing the root cause of your problem? All right? And no one can fix you. Right? You got to do the work. It's hard work if you want to grow a garden, right? Now, this is your chance to take the refuge from yourself and have the courage and faith to accept, forgive yourself, and to let go of what doesn't serve you anymore. Right? The fact that you are here today, you know you want better for yourself, right? You know you want to get rid of all the pain, the insecurities, the fear, right? And you know you want to heal. And you know you want to be happy, you want to live a happy life. I want to be happy, I want to live a happy life, The drive must be a lot. The desire to get out must be a lot higher than to remain the same. So you want to create your own destiny too, right? And right now, destiny is in your hands. What I'm offering here is to work with me on a one-to-one basis, and I will work with you and take you on my wings step by step with tools and practices to help you apply what you need to get what you want. Right? I will show you exactly how you can drink the water so that in a way that you will get the most out of every drop. But if you're not willing to do the work, then this is not for you. Okay? It has to come from you. So you see, sometimes we think about knowledge, my mentor always says that knowledge is not knowledge until you know how and when to apply it. Okay? So there's a lot of things out there in Google. You can ask Siri or you can Google it. There's lots of meditation. There's a lot of practices. But knowing when and how to use is important. Okay. It's going to save you a lot of time and effort. Right. Again, remember, this is you when you were born clear. Okay. Just a quick question here as well. How heavy do you think this is? I don't know if anyone is willing to answer me, but I'm just gonna share that. If you're gonna hold this for a few minutes, no problem, it's not heavy. If you're holding it for an hour straight, it makes your hands ache, your arms ache. Hold it for a day and see what happens. Your arms will likely cramp and paralyze or frozen, Now this glass is you with all the pebbles, everybody's opinion about you. And because of people's opinion, you self-sabotage yourself. There's a lot of inner critic. There's a wounded child in there. How long have you been holding the reasons that have brought you here today? If you have been struggling to cope with the weight of this glass, the absolute weight did not change, yeah? It's how long you hold it determines how heavy this glass is. If you have been holding the weight struggling to cope with the weight of the glass in your heart and in your mind, then it is a strong sign that it's time for you to put it down. As much as I can encourage you, I've been holding my own glass for 40 years before I realized that I need to change. And change comes from me. When I transform, I'm able to help my parents. I'm able to make sure that their kids don't go through the things that I went through. Okay, I'm gonna stop here and take a short break. No, I'm gonna call Tommy in to wrap this up. So before I do the last meditation with you.
Hello again. Wow, that was what do you guys think of that? Just want to thank you guys for taking the time to join us this evening. I hope you take home some valuable insights and maybe even benefit from the contents that Aini and Lee has shared in the past hour and a half, I think. It might even spark some interest in for you to actually reflect upon, maybe even set some directions for you down the road as we come to an end of 2021. And who knows what we take home today and how it might take you forth for 2022. Who knows what 2022 unfolds, right? Maybe even it's up to you guys. Let us know in the chat box what you think. What's the best thing that you would take away from today? Or you might want to ask yourself, what are some of the things that you would want to do before the year is over? I mean, we've only got 6 weekends before we end 2021. So it might be a good opportunity for us to start maybe building some good habits that make us more happy or fulfilled, right? I guess what I want to say is actually these teachings they're not new. They've been around for centuries. The fundamentals of Mahayana Buddhist philosophies, mindfulness, self-compassion, vipassana meditations, these are all put together by Aini, which as she's taken up this long journey in delving into these practices and put into and all interweaved into this comprehensive packages that are basically much easier to understand and practice and apply into your daily lives, you know. And these are journeys that actually Aini and myself took in our own transformation, and we want to share it with you. It'll be a personalized experience. I mean, you'll be able to build a strong foundation ultimately, physically, mentally, emotionally, spiritually, in achieving anything you want. I mean, I'm not selling snake oil, nor it is rocket science. And I'm not actually here to promise you the world. It actually, like she said, it takes a lot of commitment, practice, and discipline. I mean, if we look at a lot of this successful individuals around the world, right? It could be a celebrity, it could be an entrepreneur, actor, dancer, musician, whatever. They all got to the place where they are through some sort of commitment, practice, and discipline. But if you look deeper into that, they don't normally say practice or discipline or some sort of commitment, but it's actually involving some sort of inner strength and inner spirit and wisdom that allows them to be in their own true form. You know, our journey has been guided through these principles and fundamentals of the practice. But again, like she said, if we don't use it, they're just merely principles, right? At the end of the day, it's how you want to live your life. Nobody can tell you what you want to do, and that's the freedom and irony of this life that we actually have. The only thing I can say is that with every action we take has its consequences, and the only thing you need to figure out is what type of consequences can you actually live with, and what type of consequences can you appreciate having with you in the future. I mean, if you're able to find actually today, if you're able to find peace, joy, contentment, fulfillment in everything you do each day, and you are able to extend it throughout your life on this planet, then good. It's probably not this stuff. It wasn't really meant for you. But if not, we're here to offer the guidance and support. Like she said, I can bring the horse to the water, but I can't force him to drink. But I mean, to be honest, our lives has been anything but calm. But since being in this practice, I can definitely say, you know, at the end of the day, no matter where you are, you can still believe in paradise, because it's not some place you can go. It's actually how you feel for the moment in your life, and when you actually be able to find that moment, it actually lasts forever. The page is activated. Just go to our website and have a look, AiniChildLifeCoaching.com. Pass it back on to you, Aini.
Thank you. Right. It's so nice to have someone taking over for a while for me to take a break and have a drink. Okay. The last 10 minutes before we call it a night, I'm going to take you on to a real practice for 10 minutes. So it's a self-compassion pause. So I'd like you to come into a very comfortable position with your back upright if it's possible, or if you choose to lie down, and that's totally fine with me as well. So just come to be present here and taking in a deep breath. And gently closing your eyes. A few more deep breaths in, out, and on every out breath, see if you can relax further, dropping your shoulders, letting your hands rest on your legs, softening the whole body and softening the heart. So in this self-compassion pause, it is a practice that will help us to develop more kindness towards ourselves and others. Initially, as we start to practice self-compassion, it can be difficult to offer love to ourselves, but if it's so, then this is exactly what we need, especially in times of challenge and hope. So this practice can be practiced at any time, anywhere, just by bringing yourself into a comfortable position and closing your eyes. So I'd like you to focus on your breath, noticing your in-breath, noticing your out-breath, and become aware that you're breathing, and that you're breathing in, and that you're breathing out. And simply allow your breath to come to its own natural rhythm. Place your attention on the sensations of your breath with each inhalation and exhalation. Notice the cool air as you breathe in. Notice the warm air as you breathe out. So we would like to watch the breath this way, resting your attention at the tip of your nostril, sensing every in-breath and every out-breath. Now gently tune into your physical body, noticing any tension there. And see if you can mindfully release those tensions. Now bring your attention to your heart center. To really focus on the heart, you may want to bring your hands into your heart center. Hold your attention there, in and out of your heart space. And just be with yourself for a moment here. As you send the breath, as you feel the body, notice the physical sensations in the body. Notice your whole being. Noticing what's in the mind. What are you feeling right now? Just noticing. Now I'd like you to find that space in the heart and see if you can ask yourself, what is one kind words that I can offer to myself right now? As you do that, inviting a peaceful flow of your breath through the heart with loving awareness. as you bring the love and kindness to yourself, you might notice the gentle slight smile on your face. So let that smile spread throughout the whole body as you hold yourself in tenderness and kindness and compassion here. Taking in a deep, energetic breath. Maybe you may open your eyes and come back to the room. All right. I hope you enjoyed today's session. I hope you really take home something useful, meaningful for yourself. Lee and I would really want to thank you, and we're very grateful for your presence, taking this time to be here with us.